Y'all back to another one. Today we about to be reacting to Cosgrove. We might be experiencing deja vu and don't even realize yet. We're gonna check it out. Now I'll be coming out of my ear. I'm trying to get some difference. That gonna be it.
With all this Kevin Durant chaos that has been dominating the headlines as of recently, I can't help but to feel a sense of deja vu, like I've seen this story play out before. And then it hit me, where Kevin Durant is in his career at the moment mirrors a particular period of Kobe Bryant's career. I'm not necessarily talking about their ages or what year Kevin Durant is into his career. That's not what I'm comparing. What I'm trying to say is, Kobe kinda went through the same thing that KD is going through right now, and here's why. First of all, we have to establish something. I want you guys to pretend that KD is Kobe in this situation and that Steph Curry is Shaq in this situation. I know that might sound weird, but hear me out. Remember, Kobe desperately wanted to prove that he could win a title without Shaq. That was his sole mission, because he felt that Shaq got the majority of the credit.
Say, listen, if this is the conversation, I don't want this conversation. When I retire, I don't want people to say, okay, he only won because of Shaq. As unfair as that is, Magic never won without Cat, right? Michael never won without Scotty. So, but here I am getting stuck with this argument, which is not fair, but yet this is the argument people will make, and I'm not okay with that.
Now, whether you believe that Shaq deserved most of the credit or not doesn't take away the fact that Kobe was extremely motivated to show us that he can win without Shaq. But what proceeded to happen? Shaq went on to win the championship without Kobe almost immediately in 2006, just 2 years after he...
And that'd be the reason why it mess up teams. Because the freaking media, fans. So you make that player end up leaving so he can prove they can win without this certain player that he's saying that they wouldn't have won without that person. And then that's why these trades be happening. Somebody want to leave, they ain't coming back with the person, even though they would still be good together, obviously, and they could have won more championships, but they want to go prove because they seen all the media and all the critics on these people.
And Kobe's breakup. Sounds familiar, right? We just saw kind of the same scenario happen this year as well. With Steph Curry, the guy who Durant wants to prove he can win without, captured the trophy not too long after their breakup. The same year, Durant suffered an embarrassing first-round exit. And would you look at that? Kobe suffered a humiliating first-round exit himself. The same year, Shaq won his title. Blowing a 3-1 lead is just as bad as getting swept, if you ask me. So there's definitely some similarities there. And also, if you think about it, the Raptors' 2019 championship over the Warriors gives off the same vibes of the Pistons' 2004 championship over the Lakers. We could see both the Warriors and Lakers falling apart before our very eyes. Trust me, if social media existed back then in 2006, like it does now, after Kobe blew a 3-1 lead on top of Shaq winning the championship, Kobe would have been getting dragged by us fans, like KD currently is right now. Matter of fact, now that I think about it, Charles Barkley got on his ass the same way he's getting on Durant these days.
Why did Kobe Bryant take 3 shots in the second half?
I think he would have been getting
he was being very selfish. I think he stopped shooting because he wanted to say, those guys didn't help me. He was not aggressive at all. He was not shooting the ball. He did it a couple of years ago when they had Shaq. He wanted to prove you guys can't do anything without me. But the truth of the matter, he was very selfish.
Kevin Durant, post-Curry, is going through exactly what Kobe went through post-Shaq. Back then, people too were always questioning if Kobe could ever be the bus driver.
You know, some other people last week trying to, Kobe made some fantastic shots in the last week, and people saying who got the better of the trade between Shaq and Kobe. And they were trying to say Kobe. But Shaq is still playing. Just wanted them to know that.
Much like KD, Kobe also had a problem with Chuck's harsh criticism, and definitely let Chuck know about it. You see, Durant has the luxury of just hopping on social media with his phone to let us know how he feels, but Kobe had to physically confront him in person. Now, the comparisons don't stop there. We all know about the dysfunction within the Nets organization, more specifically regarding Kevin Durant's starting point guard, Kyrie Irving. Well, at least he's their starting point guard at the time of this video, I should say. And back in Kobe's dysfunctional Laker days in the mid-2000s, his point guard was Smush Parker. Obviously, he's not on the same level as Kyrie, but what they do share in common is priorities. More specifically, the order in which their priorities are/were in. Kyrie's lack of focus has been a topic of discussion for quite some time now. He says that basketball is not the #1 thing in his life at this point. Now, Smush never outright said that, but his actions definitely said it for him.
Over to John Ireland. John?
Thank you, Joel. It's good to see Smush Parker here, who is taking his first rest of the game. He actually missed the Lakers plane yesterday from Los Angeles. Smush told me simply he overslept.
Kobe always felt that Smush Parker never had his head on straight. People forget that Kobe actually requested a trade in 2007. He was done with the Lakers at that point.
Are you saying right here on this show that you want to be traded?
Yeah, I would like to be traded, yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're saying now emphatically, regardless of what they've done, you want out of Los Angeles.
Yeah, I would like to be traded. As tough as it is to say that, as tough as it is to come to that conclusion, there's no other alternative.
He briefly explored other options, the same way KD might be exploring other options too. A small narrative going around right now is the Warriors really didn't need KD. All they needed was a slightly worse player like Andrew Wiggins this whole time, and it would have led to the same success. Similar to how Shaq was able to get the job done with a slightly worse player than...
I don't know. I think they might have to be there for another year. I don't see how you're going to get KD, whoever team try to trade, because they asking for 2 young stars and maybe a pick or 2 or something. Because that Rudy Gobert thing probably messed up all the trades now of who they probably can get back. If Rudy Gobert is getting that, what you think they're going to ask for Kevin Durant? And they don't know what they're going to do with the freaking Kyrie. Because Kevin Durant, you got to see what happened with Kevin Durant first.
Kobe and D. Wade. All we hear about nowadays is how Steph never actually needed Durant, which is obviously true at this point. I mean, after all, he literally just got done proving that this year. But what we fail to ask ourselves is, did Durant ever really need Steph? Now, I know your initial knee-jerk reaction is, well, yeah, all we can do is go off of what we've seen so far, and as far as we can tell, that does seem to be the case. But maybe it's not so much that he necessarily needed a back-to-back MVP player by his side. It's more so that he needed Steph's reliability. Maybe that's what he really needs, a player who he can rely on. And outside of Steph, he never really had a player like that. It seems like he's been cursed with unreliable teammates throughout the majority of his career. Again, kinda like Kobe for a period of time post-Shaq. Kobe was also bombarded with unfair narratives. People would say that it looks like he still needed the most dominant big man in the NBA to succeed, but it eventually became clear.
I don't know. You can see you trying to say bad teammates. You can't say really bad teammates. You gotta really go look back at all the freaking games in the playoffs. Look at what actually happened. What was the reason? Because it can't just be his teammate. You gotta see what he did too. And then what was the coach doing? Can't just be saying that. Can't just put it on the player.
That he just needed someone he could rely on. And as soon as he got his hands on Pau Gasol, the floodgates swung wide open. They went to 3 straight NBA finals, winning 2 of them. You see, Kobe didn't give up. He didn't go crawling back to Shaq when it got tough. And I don't think you should go crawling back either, KD. Sure, having to watch Steph win a championship soon after you left had to hurt, but Kobe had to sit back and endure it too. And look what his patience eventually got him. A couple more championships that I'm sure meant the world to him.
You know what it means as a team, but what about individually?
He's got one more than Shaq.
So you can take that to the bank.
What I'm really trying to say is, there's still time for KD to come out of this with an asterisk-free legacy. You'll be surprised how quickly the public perception of a player can change. And Kobe was a prime example of that. I mean, Chuck went from saying this back in '06.
Who got the better of the trade between Shaq and Kobe? And they were trying to say Kobe, but Shaq is still playing.
Oh yeah, and he's probably gonna be. You be riding Kobe's coattail. He be saying that.
Them to know that.
He gonna say that
to
Shaq
now always saying this right to Shaq's face.
You got baby, that's why you ain't win. He got the. I didn't have Dwayne Wade and Kobe Bryant carry me up and down the court.
Some people do have Kobe over Shaq on their all-time list, when it looked like it wasn't gonna be like that in the mid-2000s. So who knows? Maybe in the future, KD will end up getting the last laugh. Only time will tell.
See, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if they're gonna get a trade to happen or not. Like I said, Warriors, really the Warriors or the Heat, are the only ones that the best chances for a trade. But freaking Durant wants Lowry to be there with Butler and Bam. But Lowry probably would have to be in that trade, probably with Hero and Duncan or something in a pick or two, something like that. And then the Warriors, they got the best one, but I don't think it's really gonna happen. You ain't probably gonna try to give up. You really want to give up Poole, Wiggins, who's that? Kuminga, Wiseman. I don't know if you're giving all that. That's too much to give up. I know Durant's a special talent, but I don't know if you can just let what you just did. Especially I just won. You just won without him anyway. So unless you want to guarantee, trying to guarantee something, but. I don't know, but hey, make sure y'all like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.